We are back for part two of the podcast with Old Soul. And the reason we're back with a part two is because in my town, Twin Cities, Minnesota, we had a big storm coming through. I lost power for a short time. Then, of course, I lost Wi Fi. That fucked everything up. So I made sure I had what we'd already done. And instead of trying to figure out how to piece it together, we're going to put it up in two parts. So if you're listening to this one and you haven't listened to the first part yet, fucking get to the first part. Jesus Christ.
I would
Anyway,
like to say one thing though.
yeah,
I think that it was the storm that knocked your power out and not Canada getting tired of us and knocking your power out. So because
that's a good. That's an excellent point. Now, what we were talking about, I was talking about Rupert Murdoch and the billionaires and these stories coming out of Wall Street Journal that are blowing Donald Trump up. I mean, here's
yeah,
Rupert Murdoch, who was a friend of Donald Trump's, who was partially responsible for him getting reelected. They both counted on each other quite a bit. And now Rupert Murdoch seems to be pushing back. And when Donald Trump says, I'm going to sue you, um, Rupert Murdoch doesn't care. So he says, well, we want him deposed fast. What Donald Trump isn't thinking about is that he has to be deposed too. And he has an aversion to being under oath generally. So I wonder how he's going to play that out. I don't think that lawsuit ever happens. I think he'll back out of it because Trump always chickens out.
either that or he's discovering the same thing that Candace Owens is discovering right now. The lawsuit is not one-sided. The
Right.
other side does get to show evidence. They do also get to show their hand, so to say, when it comes to that. I think Donald Trump, Candace Owens, I don't know, that heifer just crazy, but Donald Trump, I think he'll back down too. I
Oh,
don't
no
even think
question.
don't think it'll get that far. Like in my community, they always say, "Oh, they had the Illuminati meeting," and like if you don't think like these billionaires are like talking behind Donald Trump's back, and they not talking to Thiel, and they not talking to JD Vance, like it's to me, it's just a matter of time. Like Donald Trump was the useful idiot, and right
Right.
now he is just an idiot. He's no longer useful. I think what's dragging it out as of right now is that connection that he has to that base. And I do think at some point they have a realization of what it looks like without Donald Trump. And I think the way to taint him is by using Epstein to just kind of like taint him, dirty him up, keep that smell on him, and make it to where the base is not like repulsed by him exiting. And I think with the base, they kind of have to feel like they are the ones that's pushing him out, and it's not
Right.
the elites or the deep swamp that's pushing him out or whatever. Like they have to see him as part of the swamp, not somebody to come in there and drain it. If that
Well,
makes sense.
and that's what I was thinking too. I put that out there a couple times. I don't know if people buy it or not. It's just what logically seems to be the case. If Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump keels over choking on a Big Mac, that's a win because then they can all just say he's a martyr. If they try to do
Mm-hmm.
the 25th Amendment, which after that last press conference he should get because he was just fucking off the rails, um, if they do the 25th Amendment or they impeach him, then the base goes against the rest of the Republican Party. They're divided and they lose. Now, if Rupert Murdoch and some of the other people whip this Jeffrey Epstein thing up and make Donald Trump look bad, and then
Yeah.
the MAGA people are going, yeah, fucking get rid of him, then the
Mm-hmm.
Republicans win because they can unite with their mutual hate of Donald Trump at that point. But they've got to get that base to turn on Donald Trump. And it looks like they got a good start.
Yeah, I think that I like that word that you use. Like they have to unite their hate towards Donald Trump, and that's a
Right.
very good word because that's what binds them. That's what keeps them together. Like they have to have like this hatred and this vitriol that they have. They have to like spew that on to other peoples, on other groups and other communities, right? And I think they are learning that if they take that and they turn it towards Donald Trump, that could keep the hardcore crazies with them. I don't think it'll be as strong once Donald Trump is out of the picture, because JD Vance, he's very evil, but he doesn't have that same like stomach for it as Donald
No.
Trump has, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the reason why the oligarchs would want JD Vance in there because he's proven to be easily controllable.
Oh yeah,
And people will say he's as bad as Donald Trump. Well, his ideology might be as bad as Donald Trump, but he doesn't wield the power that Donald Trump has. Do you think he can
right.
make a call to Lindsey Graham and say, "Motherfucker, you better do this"? No, Lindsey's going to say, "Fuck you." He's going to say, "Fuck you," and so is our people in the House of Representatives. It's just a way to break things down. People say, "Well, we get rid of Donald, we've got JD Vance. Let's deal with the big problem. If we can get rid of the big problem, we can figure out the smaller problem a lot easier than what we're dealing with now." And I think the oligarchs don't like Donald Trump because he's a wild card.
Yeah,
He's not controllable. I mean, you can manipulate him, but if he goes off on the deep end, he'll do crazy shit and you can't control him. They want somebody they can control, and JD Vance fits the fucking bill perfectly.
yeah, and another thing with JD Vance too is he has skeletons in his closet as well.
Oh, I
There
know.
was a point in his past where he was not a straight male. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I also think that the money within the Republican Party, they don't want to make the same mistake as the money within the Democratic Party made, which was with Joe Biden, which is someone who you can't control with money, that don't really have those kind of skeletons in the closet. Like we all know that his son was used to be a crackhead and all the crap that he did, right? Like
He
that
probably
wasn't
still is.
right, like that, especially when I just seen him go off his last interview. Like what? But
What an idiot.
I do think like when Biden was in there and actually doing things for the people and thinking for himself and putting diversity around him, and he was like accomplishing the things that Republicans say that they want to accomplish, but they only say that to keep people voting for them, but they have no intentions of doing it. Like Biden actually said it. He had intentions in doing it, and he actually put muscle behind that. And the big money didn't like that. And I think that Republicans learned like we can't have someone like that in office like ever again. Like we're not going to do that. And I think that they learned that. And that's why JD Vance would be a better alternative than Donald Trump. Like they have the same agenda, but a lot of ways, JD Vance is far more controllable than Trump is, because Trump is just like such a bully. He's a bull in a china shop. He doesn't listen, he doesn't care, and he doesn't have to think about a second term. He's just doing whatever. Trump actually thinks that he is running the show. Like he thinks that he's in charge. Like he really does believe that to some extent. And I think like with JD Vance, he would know that he's not going to be the one calling the shots. He's going to be a face to the machine that's behind him that's really running the show. Donald Trump doesn't, he don't get that.
I already know the way we could, if Donald Trump is out of office for whatever reason, quicker the better, and JD Vance is the president, I already know how to undermine him, fuck with his head, and fuck with MAGA. Because of the stories of his questionable heterosexuality. And again, I don't care if he's gay, but
We
all the
don't.
people, the Republican Party care. So what I think we should do as Democrats, when JD Vance becomes president, assuming that happens, going, "Yay, our first gay president. Yay. Way to go. Stay woke,
I,
motherfucker."
I say bring back the stained sofa.
Yeah.
Just, that drove the man crazy. This freaking sofa drove him crazy. It's like, I don't want to just, it's kind of like child's play. But actually, right now, Donald Trump's brain is such mush. It's kind of like child's play with him, but he's more evil. I think that JD Vance is more emotional than I don't know, because they both pretty emotional.
Well, the
It's
thing
just
is,
they're both,
try,
all of them is emotional as heck. Pete Hegseth is emotional. They are all
Dan
emotional.
Bongino's crying on TV. Cash
Yeah,
Patel is hiding under the couch that JD Vance is having sex with. It's fucking crazy.
They are so freaking emotional. It baffles my brain to see these supposedly alpha males that's uh I don't know, like the expectation of alpha males and all this stuff, but they are so emotional. They can't handle criticism or dissent, or they can't even handle somebody with a different opinion than them. Like their reaction is not to listen, understand, or
Yeah.
lead or have any kind of compassion. It's just to tear people down and lash out like a, a little child or toddler would do. It's insane how out of control their emotions are. Maybe
Well,
they are all like part of the incel community or something because they just, I've
well, I
never
think
seen
I
people this emotional before. It's
well I,
crazy.
the difference between JD Vance and Donald Trump is this. Donald Trump is emotional, but he's also delusional. When he's
True.
losing, he thinks
That's
he's winning. When he's
mm,
losing, he thinks he's winning. He believes that. JD Vance, you could break that motherfucker real easy because
yeah.
he's emotional and he's a little crazy, but he's not delusional enough or diminished enough to
Hmm.
not take to heart the things that are going to be said about him and the protest. He is going to lose it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. Let's destroy Donald Trump and then we'll destroy JD Vance and we'll see what the Republicans have left to deal with after that.
Yeah. And when you think about it, I do think the pressure would be different for JD Vance for like one primary reason is Donald Trump doesn't have anyone telling him the truth. They're just lying to him. He doesn't like he feels the pressure from the outside, but it's not really pressure. It's the teasing, the taunting, the criticism, the online crap. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
gets to him, but it's not the actual facts of the world as it is and what's going around him. It's not the actual polls and all that stuff. JD Vance would be aware of the facts. He would be aware of where we are as a country. And Donald Trump doesn't have, that's kind of like JD Vance doesn't have the luxury of being delusional. So when you actually know it's at risk, you understand where we are and you understand what the people behind you want to do. And you kind of have to try to navigate that with regular people. That's a lot of freaking pressure. And JD Vance would feel that. Donald Trump doesn't have to feel that. He's just like, oh, everything's great. There's nothing to worry about. Everybody's happy. Nobody's upset but the libtards. Like, he doesn't feel that same type of pressure that
No, you're
JD Vance
right.
feels. And we can
You're
really apply that pressure more to him than where we are with Trump because he doesn't have that same delusion. We could be more strategic with the pressure with him.
you're right about Donald Trump. He doesn't feel the pressure that a normal human being would feel because he's convincing himself that I'm winning, I'm the best, I'm the smartest. All I have to do is say it, and people will believe it. I've thought that too. Being the president is a lot of pressure. I don't know if Donald Trump feels that pressure. I think the pressure he gets comes from people constantly trying to embarrass him. It's not
Yeah.
the pressure of failing that bothers him, it's
Hmm.
being embarrassed. So we have to
Yeah.
recognize that and continue to embarrass him. JD Vance will be a totally different story because he's going to have a lot of people talking in his ear,
Yeah.
people that he's bending over to. He's got to worry about his second term if then that won't happen because I don't really think Trumplefucks really like JD Vance. I mean, that's why I
Nobody.
say he's not going to have any power. Like I say, he's not going to be able to call a member of Congress and say, "You better do this." They'll say, "Fuck you, JD." And the people of this country aren't going to rally behind him because he doesn't have the same kind of personality or the same kind of power. And I hate to say Donald Trump has power, but over stupid people, he's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. And Donald Trump is reckless and he just doesn't care. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like people, when it comes to like the things that he's doing, his executive orders, and people are treating them like they're real and they're not really legal and all that other kind of stuff. They don't understand we do have to worry about that. It's not that we're worried about the fact that it's legal or not. We have to understand that whether it's legal or not, he's going to do it anyway. So it's
Right.
not, I don't care if it's legal or not. I care his actions. So there's no court that's going to tell Donald Trump, like, hey, you can't do that. And he'll be like, well, the court said we can't do it. So I guess we can't. That's not going to happen. His actions are what we have to worry about. The hell with the executive orders and what the courts say and what the Constitution say. To hell with all that, because he don't care, and he's not rolling based off of that. There's no norms or guardrails there for him. His actions, what he's doing, what he's implementing, scene by scene, he is just like tearing everything apart, just tearing us down, right? That's what we have to worry about. I don't look at his executive actions as being real. I look at the fact that he is going to treat those like they are law and like they are real. And the people who are implementing that, who are supposed to stop it, they are treating it like it's law. They are treating it like it's real. So it's the actions that we have to be aware of. JD Vance won't have those same actions. I think that him and the billionaires behind him will be like, hey, maybe we kind of don't need to go as hard because we need to get in there a second term. And once we're in that second term, we can really turn it up and do what we need to do, right? So they
Right.
won't be as hard in these last few years with him as they will be if we allow them to get a second term. Right now, Donald Trump's not worried about none of that. He is just wild and just doing whatever the hell he wants to. And that's what we have to worry about. It's really sad to just be like that, but he just don't care. And we have to take him seriously. What he says, what he does, what he puts on a piece of paper, we have to take it seriously because he is going to do it. He's already doing it. Already doing it. It's
I,
insane to
I, I liken Donald Trump to taking a toddler,
me.
giving him a handgun and a steak knife and say, go have fun on the playground. We'll see what happens. That's pretty much
Yeah.
what it is. And we're almost at that point where we got to go, all right, if this is what it's going to take, burn the motherfucker down. We'll try to pick up the pieces after it's done. I'll be honest with you. I don't, if JD Vance ends up finishing out Donald Trump's term as badly as it's going to go, because he's going to be held responsible for the fuck ups that Donald Trump did, because that's what Donald Trump does. It's JD Vance's fault or anybody else's fault. I'd be willing to bet that JD Vance will not be the nominee for the Republican Party in 2028, even if he is the sitting president.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't want to say that JD Vance can't be smooth and he can't be charismatic because I think that he could be if he was allowed to be himself. And he is not being himself. So he is presenting in the way that he thinks um, he should he's presented in a way that he thinks people want and what people want to see or what people would expect for a straight man to say or a strong man to say or an articulate man to say. Like that's how he's trying to present is what he would think how they would act. But since he doesn't have those characteristics, he's not really like comfortable with that. He's not really in touch with himself. He's not really comfortable with himself like that. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know any Republican men that is. Like, you got to look
No,
at Biden to see how comfortable he is in his skin to be as old and wrinkled as he is and go onto the beach with no shirt on, like, hey, I don't care, I'm good. You know what I mean? Obama goes on the beach with no shirt and all that stuff, but he kind of something to look at. Biden, he don't care. I'm on the beach, it's hot, I'm gonna be in my trunks and I'm gonna be chilling on the beach. Name a Republican man that's gonna do that. None of them are comfortable in their own skin. None of them are like content and satisfied and happy in any type of way to just be like, I'm gonna be me and I don't give a damn. None of them have that. And so I think that people are not going to be drawn to somebody that's fake. And as many people support Trump or whatever for the reasons that they don't want to admit to themselves as to why they support Trump, JD Vance doesn't have that in him. And so everything else about him is just fake and phony. And people can smell that a mile away. Donald Trump, thin skin, fake, phony. However, he is loud, he is racist, he is vile. He taps into the worst of these people. And that's what attracts them to him. JD Vance don't have that. He don't. He can
no.
barely sit that they're eating cats and dogs, and he's slipping all up on CNN, admitting to the fact that he lied. He couldn't even commit 100% to that lie. Put him in an election with any comfortable with themselves Democrat and watch him just get ran over. Just he would just get ran over like no tomorrow. It's insane to
Well,
me that they
I
would
would like
pick
to see
someone.
I would like to see Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham without their shirts on. That would be
Please.
quite a treat for a lot of folks. I heard somebody say this, and I don't know that it's true. I've said it a couple times on the podcast. I know you researched a lot of stuff, and maybe you've heard something about this. But it's very telling if it's true that Donald Trump instructed the DOJ to not let JD Vance see the Epstein files. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that sounds like something he might do because he's a paranoid motherfucker. And in this case, if they're really coming for you, are you really paranoid? Because I think they are coming for him.
I don't know that, but I am definitely supposed to put that in my notepad because I gotta know if that's true or not. I
I
don't
do
know, but
too.
that would be very interesting to know that or not. But if that did happen, then that lets me know that there is a couple of marbles that's still rolling around in Donald Trump's head. Because when I look at a lot of stuff that I see with Trump, and I be like, how he don't know that he's surrounded by snakes, and why he think that they all just gonna roll over and fall in line and be completely loyal to him, and they not gonna turn on him within a dime, is beyond me. But if he is
Yeah.
limiting those Epstein files and keeping them away from JD Vance, then he knows how tight Vance is with Musk and with Thiel and what they will do to him if they themselves got to see it with their own eyes, especially after Musk blasted him out on social media like that. He would be just like, for him saying, oh no, we're not supposed to let Vance see that. He does have some kind of marble still rolling around his head, if that's true. If that's true.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that might have set off Donald Trump in terms of his paranoia would have been when Elon Musk says, I think they should get Donald Trump out of there and put JD Vance as president. And
Oh
I
yeah.
know how Donald Trump thinks. I'll bet you that went in his head and he thought, oh, fuck, I see what's going on here.
I forgot about that episode of the soap opera. Because that's all this is to me. That's all this is to me. It's the Young and the Restless White House edition, or that's all this is to me. It's just like a big old soap opera. You got all these characters and all this crazy stuff going on. That's just what it is in my mind. I take their actions seriously, but like the buffoonery and the characters and all that stuff, it's just like these people are just actors, you know. Donald Trump is pretending he playing like he the president. He not doing nothing presidential.
No.
Except all these people, they are pretending for these roles, but when it comes to actual work, being competent, studying, knowing what you're doing, following through, they don't do none of that stuff. All these people is just pretending. Like, look at Gnome. Like, they all just pretended. That's all. It's just a soap opera to me with real life consequences,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, the other thing that Donald Trump once said which would indicate to me that he's a little paranoid. Somebody said, "Do you trust Vladimir Putin?" And I know he wanted to say yes, but he knew he couldn't say yes, and he said, "I don't trust anybody." And that I
And
believe is true. He
he
doesn't
should.
trust anybody. No, he shouldn't.
I don't like if Donald Trump is delusional enough to think. I think that maybe, I think he's aware that these people don't like him. They can't stand him. They would rather be anywhere in the world except for in his presence. And I think that he is aware of that. What he is confusing is the fact that fear and respect are not the same thing.
No.
They're just not, they don't respect him. And they fear him to a certain extent, but they are not that scared of him to where they won't roll on him to satisfy themselves or meet their own needs. And as
Well, and the
afraid,
problem with fear is that over respect, fear is such that if somebody is able to get the jump on you, They're going to be all over that shit. They're going to be excited about taking you down if they get a chance. And the way he's doing things right now, the way he's confused and painting himself into a corner, he's putting himself in a vulnerable position to get jumped on by those people that hate him. And I would guarantee there's a lot of people in DC, whether they admit it or not, that hate that motherfucker and want him gone.
Oh yeah, they can't stand him. We don't laugh. Don't laugh. Me and Kelsey, we both crazy. Like I swear, in another life, I gave birth to that child. So when we watch like these little like meetings that he has, we try to like watch the people's faces, and we would be like, "Oh, oh, they got a whip for that phone. They got a whip for that phone," because you can tell when they like get a whiff of him, and they be like, you can just look at their faces. That is like that will keep you watching the show that's going on without just like I can't take this. I gotta turn. It's always just watch the people faces in the background. They will either be like the world leaders. They be so embarrassed slash disgusted. But when he like turns and stuff, they get that hit of that smell, that funk that's coming from that chair over there. They get to lean into the side. I can't imagine how that man smell. And I'm convinced that he does not wash his face when he take that makeup off. Like his pores is clogged and everything else. I could just imagine how rank he is.
Yeah, he's got to be the smelliest president in the history of this country. And this goes back to times when people didn't take fucking showers back in the day, you know? Um, but you know, when you watch these press conferences, I found it interesting about Kristi Noem and Donald Trump. He was in a meeting, one of these press conferences, which he should stop doing because he looks horrible every time he does it. He says stupid stuff. I mean, he went off and talking about all he did in Rwanda, even though that was fucking in '94, for fuck's sake.
I missed
That
it.
should be enough. Yeah, yeah. He said he went off on so many fucking tangents. It was, well, put it this way. Put it this way. Ali Velshi, who's on MSNBC, was
Mm-hmm.
watching the thing, and when he came back, he just kind of goes, "I'm not talking on TV here until they put across the bottom that that was bat poop crazy. I'm not talking until you do that." Because it was, you know, it was just crazy. But when somebody has the audacity, the reactions by Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, somebody asked Donald Trump a question he doesn't want to answer. He'll say he did this. He goes, "Be quiet, be quiet,
Oh
be
yeah.
quiet. How dare you ask that?" Kristi Noem did the same thing. Somebody asked about something she didn't like to hear, and she says, "That's a lie. That's not true. Don't bring that up again." Like, I'm scared of you, Kristi Noem. How about if we just put a fucking tariff on Botox and see what happens to your face then?
I think I think the witch that started that was Margie Taylor Greene. Remember, I don't know which reporter it was. I want to say she was from Australia or something. And she
Yeah.
was like, "Where are you from? What country are you from? Stop, 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 stop." Like they just want to like bulldog and be as rude and as nasty and confrontational as possible. Because what they think is it's going to make someone so uncomfortable that they will back off.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's what it
and
is. Yeah.
what they don't understand is that works with them. That doesn't work with everybody else. That doesn't work with like normal people. Like I was watching MSNBC and they were like, "Oh, the president yelled at you." And she's like, "Yeah, I guess I'm part of the club." Like these heifers is on national television just laughing about the fact that Donald Trump laughed at them. Like it's this is like it's my badge of honor that he don't like me. I'm not afraid of like Donald Trump and his regime. Like normal people is like they're afraid of the policies and how it can implement them and what happens to them, how it can tear their families apart. But if you put Donald Trump in front of me, I'm not just to kiss his butt, ask him softball questions, be afraid of him. I might want him away from me, but it's not because I'm afraid of him, it's because he stank. Don't put him that close to me, right? Normal people don't like bow over to Donald Trump and just fawn all over him. Normal people don't do that. That works with them, and they try to take that and apply it to everybody else. And I don't think they watch international news because Australia for sure and the UK, they journalists, they don't hold punches. They used to being in people's faces and confronting them. I think that they are like surprised at the unprofessionalism from us, but they're not afraid of that. Like nobody's afraid of them like that. I think they are so afraid and they are so cowardly and they are so used to being in that bubble that they think that's how the rest of the world like act and react to them. And we just wouldn't. We don't fawn all over them like that. It's weird. Like they politicians, they not gods. Like you know what I mean? Like they you just a politician. Like why would we worship a politician? I'm supposed to like keep my eye on you and check you and let you know if you earn my vote or not. I'm not supposed to be a fan of yours or I don't know. Like
Um,
they
most
rock.
normal people. Well, I tell you
Yeah,
this: in the United States, most people are afraid of confrontation. They don't like confrontation. And when I've talked to Trump-fucks or narcissists or anybody, that tended to be my superpower because I don't
yeah,
mind confrontation because I know what I'm saying and I know I'm right. And then when you lose your temper and you're
yeah,
mad at me and calling me names, I know I got you. I fucking
yeah,
got you. And now I'm going to destroy you because you can't control yourself. And if we had more media people like that, be able to
yeah.
understand that, Donald Trump
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have lasted through 2016. He wouldn't have lasted.
None
And
None of them. Name one person in his administration that can sit down and just handle a journalistic interview. Just think like maybe Mehdi
none.
Hassan or something, where they can just
Well,
sit there and hold their own. They can't, and that's why they pick who they do and don't interview with. Like none of these people would ever be like on Buttigieg's level, where he would just like go on Fox and go into the Lions deal and like deal with them one on one heads up. They will only stay in their safe places because they cowards. But because they're always in those safe spaces and they handpick who they do and don't want around them asking questions, they really do trick themselves into believing that's how the rest of the world is. We don't see them like that.
I think Mehdi Hassan is probably the best interviewer out there.
Yeah.
Explains why MSNBC fired him. But you can't stop Mehdi Hassan, you know. But I swear to God, if you put Mehdi Hassan across the table from Donald Trump and let him interview for no more than 15 minutes, by the time
Mm-mm.
it was over, Donald Trump would be reduced to a puddle of flop sweat and diarrhea. That's all that would be left of that motherfucker if Mehdi Hassan had freedom to say what he wanted to say and ask the questions he wanted. Because Mehdi Hassan wouldn't let that fucker loose. He'd turn him
Yeah.
every which way but loose.
Think about how many times they would have to pause just for him to change his diaper. I feel so bad because I can't remember her name from 60 Minutes, but during his
Leslie
first
Stahl.
administration, yeah, when she was like, oh yeah, show me the healthcare plan, and he couldn't do that. There was an interview when he's there with Mike Pence and he gets up and leave, and Pence has to handle it. Like when he has a journalist in front of him that is not allowing him to just spew his lies and not give him pushback, Donald Trump gets up and walks off. He cannot
Right,
handle that. You know what I mean?
right, right.
And that's why he will never put himself in a situation where he has to actually answer questions. And as much as he was going on about you don't say the Fifth Amendment, you tell the truth, you say it like it is, if you're real and all this other kind of crap, as soon as they put him in front of an attorney who he could not avoid, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, he wouldn't say anything. You're a nasty woman, but Fifth Amendment, you can call me all kind of nasty that you want to. You either gonna answer this question or not, and we're gonna get your butt on tape. Period. You know what I mean? Like he cannot handle that. He can't handle an old woman. He can't handle an attorney during a deposition. He can't handle none of that. He can't handle anybody. He will talk trash online, but he will never say any of that stuff to anybody's face. He won't do that. He won't
Think
do it.
about it. I've got an idea for a meme. I don't know how to make memes, but for anybody out there, you might want to throw this out there. Take all the cuts of him calling women nasty and then immediately cut in the line from the Janet Jackson song. It's Miss Jackson if you're nasty.
Or you know what?
Like,
Kamala Harris was like, "Hey, say it to my face." He got on the debate stage, didn't say it to her face. He
no,
left.
he's
He talked trash
gutless.
about her, and then went back out there and said, "Hey, I don't need to debate her again." He didn't want that smoke again. He just did not. He is such a coward. How these people think that he is not a coward?
No,
It's
he's
beyond.
absolutely a coward. You mentioned the tariffs a couple times, and kind of imminent. By the time people hear this, it's July 29th. August 1st is the deadline for the pauses. We've got 90 deals in 90 days. The only deal I know that he's gotten done was this thing with the UK allegedly, and the only reason I know they think it's not finalized, but the woman from the EU said that they had a deal.
Concept of a deal.
Yeah, what yeah, concepts of a deal. But what people have to understand, there are media outlets and there are people saying you got a deal. Yeah, that's one out of 200. Fuck you. It's not a good deal because you got 2 days. Is Donald Trump going to chicken out again? I bet he does. I bet he fucking does. But everybody's trying to say, oh, this is such a good deal. What people don't understand is he cut a deal with the EU. He's selling them energy. How is he doing that? How, how is he selling them energy? She's just going along just so she doesn't have any more trouble. And he says he's going to put a 15% tariff on there. And everybody's going, oh, great. We thought it was going to be 25, 50, 100. 15, that's a lot better. Well, it's not really, because prior to Donald Trump, the tariff we had on the EU was under 2%. So that means everybody who's talking great about these tariffs means that everything coming from the EU, we are now going to pay a minimum of 13% more than we've ever paid. Oh, good job, Donald. Fucking brilliant.
Not only that, but Kelsey, I tell you, she will like wring my neck if I don't say this. That's not including the layered tariffs. So there's
Right,
other fees on there that he is all like there are already tariffs there. And this 15% is on top of that. So it might
right.
be 30% by the time he get through adding the rest of these stupid tariff fees that he got on top of there. It is a whole hot ass mess for somebody to sit here and say that we went from less than 2% or right at 2% to 50%. But hey, he said 15%. So now that's somehow a deal. It is baffling to me that the press at all reports anything that he says as fact. Donald Trump, he could come out and say, hey, I got a 15% flat tariff fee. That's it. And they will report that when the deal isn't even like finished. It's not in stone. It's not guaranteed. It could fall apart at any moment. Donald Trump can literally wake up on the wrong side of bed tomorrow and that deal is over. They don't even mention the other layered tariff fees that's on there. And we just roll along with it as a fact. And it's not true. It's just not true at all. If he says something, they report it as fact. And they know that this man does nothing but lie and lie and lie and lie. It's like they are just the biggest part of the problem. They're the
Well,
biggest part of the problem. Ugh.
and the thing is, we're 2 days away from the pause coming off. And you got a alleged deal with UK, but we don't really get anything from the UK. You got an alleged deal with EU, but it wasn't really a good deal. We still have no deal with China. That's the one that's going to fuck us and fuck the retail people and everything. There still is no deal with China. He said he had a deal with China. China says, nah, I haven't seen a deal. So we're 2 days away from that pause coming off. And if that goes on in China and some of these other countries, shit falls apart again. So that's why I'm thinking, people are in his ear going, yeah, you got to give him another 90 days. It'll be 90 days, 90 days, 90 days, just like every fucking thing else he does.
I heard I heard my Uncle Cleo talking to someone. He wasn't like a Trump pumper, but he did vote for Trump. And he was just kind of excited about the tariff fee, like it was reduced. And he was like, "Do you want to know why like libtards look at y'all like y'all crazy?" It's like he tells this man. And when it comes to people like this, I guess that's the best way of explaining it to him, because after he explained it like that, the guy got it. He was just like, Donald Trump comes into your hotel room and you're excited to see him. And he tells you, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad you voted for me. Drop your pen, drop your drawers." And you say, "Mr. President, I don't want you to F me." And so Donald Trump says, "Okay." And then you come out of the hotel room and you are excited because he used lube. You didn't want him to F you raw, but you're excited because he F'd you with lube. Either
Uh,
way you look at it, you got F'd. And that's how it is with these tariffs. Either way it go, you are paying more than what you used to pay. So it's either he doing it raw, he doing it with lube. Either way, you getting F one way or another. And the guy's jaw just kind of like dropped, because I guess when you say it blunt and without the expletives being bleeped out, that's how he got it. But they don't understand, like, even if it went from 2% to 5%, you're still paying more than what you were paying before. So either way, you are out of your money and you are still getting, like in Uncle Cleo's terms, you're still getting screwed. So why are you excited? Why are you cheering about the fact that you just got screwed over? Like, why are you happy about that?
yeah.
And I think, well, you have to explain it to, like, you literally have to explain it to them in like very harsh turns, because they don't understand like logic and reason. Like you have to explain it to them like that for some reason. Like, you were paying less than 2%, now you are paying 15%, and you are excited about that. Why are you excited going from 2 to 15%? Because Donald Trump is charging you 15%, and before you only being charged 2? Like, why are you excited? What is it about that that makes you excited? The only thing that I can think of is, at the end of the day, they still don't understand how tariffs work. Maybe they still don't understand who's paying for it, or because he hasn't completely followed through, they haven't felt the full weight of
Right.
if he did follow through. So I think in this instance, him not following through or him not keeping his word is beneficial to them, because it allows them to think that, yes, a little bit more, but it's really not that bad. Versus if he actually did follow through and they felt the full weight of that, maybe that will resonate with them more. Either that, or you just got to talk to them sideways like they crazy and straight up hood from the street. Because the way I try to talk to them with logic and reason, that don't work.
Now,
That
now
don't work
I,
at all.
I've never met your Uncle Cleo, but I've heard a lot about him, and
Yeah,
I've heard about the connection between Wild Child and I picture, and I
yeah,
say this with all due respect. Please don't
yeah.
take this as an insult. I picture him in my mind, not knowing who he is, as kind of a modern day Fred Sanford.
Oh
Come
my
over here,
God.
dummy. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't have, with the exception of her, he really doesn't have like a filter at all. You know what I
I
mean?
like
Like,
that. I like
he
that.
really just doesn't have one. If I'm like at a protest or something and I'm trying to talk to somebody, he'll be like, "Look, move to the side." And he would just talk to them like straight up one on one. For him, it's like, you voted for Trump, you MAGA, I'm going to treat you accordingly. Like, there's no in between there. There's no, this is a low information voter. This person doesn't know. Maybe they, were whatever. Like, he don't go for none of that. Like, you voted for Trump, you hardcore MAGA, I'm treating you accordingly. Like, I don't care if you're mad at Trump right now. I don't care if you fell out with him about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. You don't get to come back over here. I still don't like your ass. Like, that's just how he
Doing
is.
the Fred Sanford stuff.
Yeah, that's how he is with it. Like, he just very
I
raw and
love
unfiltered.
that.
So,
I love
yeah,
that. I mean, that's what more people have to be. They have to be. That's why I tell people there's so many people that are willing to give up or we can't do anything. We need fucking warriors. We need fighters. And that's what Uncle Cleo sounds like. And I hope more people will be like that because that's what it's going to take fighting against the pieces of shit we have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm just now coming around to, well, I've been this way for a few months now. Like the suffering aspect of it, I didn't like it at first. I still don't like it, but I've come to the fact that it is what it is. People are going to hurt. I'm not going to escape it. They are not going to escape it. I don't like to see the babies hurt. I don't like to see the children going hurt. But for me as a parent, it's like just, I think like it's just a decent person. When I see a child like suffering, hungry, really struggling, for me, that hurts. And I don't like to see that, but other people can see other children's hurt and they don't feel nothing about it until their children hurt or their children is hungry. They're trying to figure out how to make $1 out of 15 cents when it comes to their children. So it's kind of like you have to understand that in order for them to hurt, they are going to feel it through losing their home, their children suffering, or different things like that. And so I don't like it and I'm not comfortable with it, but I can say it is what it is, and that's just reality, and I can accept that.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said
Yeah.
that a few months ago, but now it's like, yeah, especially when they keep voting against their own interests. They keep putting people in positions who just don't care about them or their children. So it's just kind of like they have to feel what these policies are going to do, the effects that it's going to have on their children. You know what I mean? It's so sad that it has to be like that, but it does. So.
I feel like Uncle Cleo and I should start a movement, call them the Gray Panthers, and start kicking some dumb fuck's ass. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
think there was somebody.
if you come from being like a Black Panther, that's just a different level of thickness on your skin and reality
Yeah,
that you have. Plus a lot of other stuff that he's been through too. Like you don't come out of that and not be hardened from those life experiences. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, also, I'm going to wrap things up. We had to do two parts, but we got through it. We talked about a lot of stuff, and I appreciate you coming on. And you won't be around next week, right? You're going to be out of the country.
yeah, because you know that Kelsey's doing her study abroad. This summer went by very, very quickly, but we were both busy this summer. So it's going to be good to just kind of like get her settled, get her set up, watch her be able to thrive. And it's going to suck. But for me, it's a lot better than being in the military under this administration. Under no circumstances would I want one of my children to be under this regime. And I've heard people say when it comes to Lauren Boebert's son, like he would have benefited good from the military and all that. I do not say that about him because I don't think any child should be under this regime at all because there's no telling what they must to go through. But
Yeah.
it's going to be hard, but I think it's a better alternative than her going into the military under this fool. Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
No, that's not going to work. It's going to be crazy for a while, and even after he's gone, there's going to be a lot of time that we have to recover, and it will take a lot of time. But thank you, old soul. Be safe when you go overseas.
Yeah.
You'll probably
To
be
bring a
safer over there
worldly
than you are here.
to our politics here. And I think we need that. I think that's a good idea.
Well, when Wild Child's over or Kelsey's over at overseas, and the people come up and ask her about uh, Donald Trump or the Trump regime, there's only one thing she needs to say: "Fuck them," so they know exactly how we feel about that shit.
You know she gonna say that.
I know she's going to say it. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
And I'll say it clearer in case she wants to use it for a ringtone. Fuck them.
Yeah, she gonna say it.
You're gonna say. All right. Well, also, thank you very much. For those of you listening, thanks for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.